Yeah, I need to do better for sure.
Same.
Especially during this time. I saw the funniest meme the other day. It was like all of America, and it was like, I wish I had a weekend to chill. I wish I had all this time. And then it's like all of America now. It's my God-given right to get out and do, all this stuff. Always want what we don't have. And now that we have all this time, we've always said we wanted, and all those things, and we're kind of stuck. What better thing to do than go sit out and it doesn't have to be this ritualistic, um, strange, holy thing. It can be, it's holy all in itself, that you would just have the privilege of doing it. You can go outside and take a walk and pray, and walk through your house, sit on your couch. It's, sometimes people are like, I don't have a place to pray, or I don't really know what to do. We have the Lord's Prayer as a model, and that's great to do. And I do try to start out with thankfulness. I've found that just like with forgiveness, prayer is kind of the same thing. If we would just begin the act of forgiveness by speaking it, even if the feelings aren't there yet, the feelings will usually follow. There's something powerful in our words and our choice to do that, our choice to make an effort to be that way or feel that way. And I think prayer is the same way. Some of us be looking around right now and feeling like we don't have a lot to be thankful or grateful for. The bank's calling, or the paychecks stop coming, or many things that people are going through right now. But there is something, and if you can take that something and start your prayer out and be grateful for it, and just begin that dialogue with God about thankfulness, those feelings will start to follow. And all of a sudden, instead of feeling like you have all this loss, you begin to feel like you have so much, because you have Him, and you have Him right beside you, and you're able to talk to the Creator of the universe, who can do all things.
Yeah.
And the burden seems just to be a little smaller after that.
I have a journal which I read from a second ago, which is obviously full of eloquent things like like I suck and you don't. I want to be more like you. But it's pretty much filled with pages like that. But I don't keep it every day, but sometimes I'll write in it more often than not. And it's when I start my scripture reading, I'll do this prayer journal where it's basically just a letter to God, and it's just getting all the junk out of my head so that I can focus. So it's not really like a prayer journal where I have prayers for other people. I have something else for that, but this is just where I can just get all the crap out of my head so I can focus. And I try to start that not because I'm awesome, but because Priscilla Shirer is awesome and mentioned it in her book Fervent. But to start your prayer with praise, and so I find myself all the time, anytime I write in it, I just want to immediately jump into the negative and just like, let me tell you all this junk that is either going on in me or around me. And I just want to jump right into the negative with it. But I have to stop myself as soon as I write the word Father, because that's how I start every all of them out. As soon as I write Father, I'm like, wait a second. I'm not going to deep dive into the negative. I'm going to start with praise. And I just begin to write out, praises, like, you are good, you are kind, you are powerful, you are loving, you are, and you choose to give this, to lavish me with it. And it's such a perspective shift. And when I come to Him with those, I mean, of course, all my junk follows after that, but it feels less, it feels less weighty. It feels less junky.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm coming to you with all these things and it feels hopeless anymore, because I just wrote down, like, wait a second, you are all powerful. You are strength and courage and kindness and love. You are all of these things. So yeah, these negative things that I'm bringing to you, they're not as big now as you are, because
Right.
but it's starting that with praise or with thankfulness and gratitude. But just starting that, when you when you come with all this hopeless, all this what feels hopeless junk, but you put it next to God of all creation,
Right.
it seems a whole lot smaller,
Right.
when you put it next to hope, the
Yeah.
person.
And that brings up a really good point. Like, we are hope for a lot of people. We are the embodiment of hope. We're the ones that bring Jesus to people a lot of times. And it brings us right back to what we were talking about. We have that to give the world right now.
Mhm.
And while it is a wonderful time to enjoy the slowdown of everything, it's also the time to make well known the hope of the world.
Yeah,
We can't forget that.
we are carriers of hope.
Mhm.
He
Yeah.
resides within us, and now more than ever, it's time that we dust that weapon off
Hmm.
and put it to use
Yeah.
and make those. Yes, no.
Get the hat on and everything.
Finish now. No. But, I can't. Done. But seriously, it's like the time is now. This is the moment for which we have been created, and for better or worse, this is it. And if we can't do anything else, the biggest and most effective and most powerful thing we can do is go to the Lord of all creation and consistently go every day. And you don't have to, like you said, it doesn't have to be this, you know, liturgy or this
Yeah.
like big elaborate thing, or you don't have to spend an hour, just basking in the glory. Like, I mean, it's, yeah, you can do that. I love doing it. It's
Yeah.
amazing. But it's so simple. You just talk to him like you would anybody. Just acknowledge his presence, acknowledge that he's there. That is the most holy and reverent thing we can do, is just acknowledge that, hey, God, you're here, you're with me, and I need you, and they need you. And just talk to him like all day long, like you wrote in your article in the Well Journal. It's just like, I mean, go sit on it. If the only place you have peace is to sit on the toilet, go sit on the toilet and talk to him. I mean, that's not, irreverent. He made you. Like, it's fine.
I,
Go
I
talk.
frequent the shower. You have a house full of boys and they're cooped up and they're wrestling and squalling sometimes. Sometimes it's in the shower. And I'm thinking, I'm sure a lot of people would probably be like, that's not really reverent. You're completely naked in the shower. And I'm like, he was naked or I was naked when he made me. So it's okay.
Exactly. But, just to actually do it, that's the big thing. We just have to remember that that's like the biggest thing we can do, and just do it.
Yeah. I think if I could say one thing to people, it would be, just start. Don't worry about if it's perfect. Don't worry about fancy words. Don't worry about even if there's all kinds of like anger toward God in your heart, because he knows that anyway.
Yeah.
Just go out on your porch and start. Just go close the door behind you for 5 minutes and start with the simplest words, with the simplest cry of, like you said, acknowledging God, who he is, that he's there, that your dependence is on him, and just let it all out. It's fine. And the more you work at it, the more you practice, the easier it's going to be and the more delightful it's going to be. And I think too, when, especially if we're harboring feelings toward God, or feeling like that's sinful, and we just begin just to let that all out and let it, you know, come out and ask forgiveness for it, it begins to heal up that relationship to where we can feel closer, be like, well, that's out in the air now, so now you know how I really feel, God. And
Yeah.
so I can imagine the various emotions people are going through right now, and we've talked about that, the mental health kind of things, and also just fear and things people have toward God, and it's okay to talk about it all.
Yeah.
Just start.
Yeah. He can handle our questions. He can handle our doubts.
Mhm.
It's funny. I wrote about this, and I stole the line from Frozen 2. I'm not gonna lie, it's a great movie. But at the close to the end, I when you start looking for God, you can find him in anything. And or he'll speak to you using anything. Anyways, but there was a scene with Anna and Kristoff. Yeah. And he was like, she was saying she was sorry for something. And he said, my love is not fragile. And I was just like, that's you. That's you, Jesus. Like his love is not fragile. You
That's right.
you can yell at him. I spent many a months just screaming at him, but I'm so glad that I at least kept the communication going,
Mhm.
even if it was negative. And and I know for so many people in these moments, in these days and days coming up, it might be like that. Your communication with God may be very negative and loud like mine was. I would literally scream at him. If the girls were asleep and Ryan was gone, I would be in a yelling match with Jesus. And well, not morally a match, he would just stand there and, or, I imagine him standing there and just take it. Because his love is not fragile. And you'll come to him and scream at him every single day and question him and doubt him, and he's still going to show up and be there.
Yeah.
And until you're ready. Um, but, but yeah, it's just, I don't even remember where I was going with that, except that, except that his love is not fragile, and we can come to him with those negative things, but like, just come to him, just come and just start. Like you said, just start. And it doesn't have to be this big elaborate thing. It doesn't have to be for a certain amount of time. You just have to come.
Absolutely.
And even if it starts out negative, he works on your heart even when we don't realize it. And it's the most effective and powerful thing that we can do right now for ourselves, for our communities, for the people around us. We just have to start.
Yeah. And when you do start and you just see or feel his response to you, it will often just, the Bible talks about his kindness bringing us to repentance, and just the kindness that you feel. Like, I bet in any of those screaming matches, he never screamed back.
Yeah.
He's so loving and so willing to just let us be human and respond so gently, so lovingly. And that often paves the way for us just to, kind of just fall into his arms, because you realize how much he really does love us.
Yeah. Any other final thoughts or words before we hop off?
No, just, if anyone needs prayer.
Yeah, yeah. If anybody needs prayer or has a prayer request or wants to know more about prayer, though, I mean, I'm not saying that I know it all, but I know one who does, and that's Tonya. Just kidding. That's
No.
no. But we would love to talk to you. So I'm sure Tonya is more than willing. If you want to reach out to her, it's Tonya Allen, or me, or the Well. Any of our leaders, we're happy to talk to you, to pray with you, to pray for you, or to join you in prayer for somebody or situation. But
Absolutely.